Hello and welcome to Pest Perspectives, episode 15. It's crazy how many episodes have happened now. It's 14 guests now I've had on because the first episode was me talking about what the podcast was going to be. So I needed to make a clarification for the basis prompt points I said were in the descriptions of previous episodes. You can redeem with basis prompts. I got it wrong. I'm sorry. There is 10 points available. However, per year you can only register 6 with the basis prompt. But all the others, you can register as many as you want. You can. So that's good. I just thought I'd clarify because I made a mistake. I'm human. Yeah. So this week we have Dr. Richard Naylor on. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Good to hear. No, it's good to have you on. Now, please, could you introduce yourself? Because I will butcher it if I'll get it wrong. I will.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Richard Naylor. I'm a specialist in bed bugs. I'm an entomologist, but I've specialised in bed bugs now for like 20, 24, 25 years, something like that. And so it's been something I do pretty much every day for the last 20 years. Yeah. And I'm a director of the Bedbug Foundation, which is like it's a community interest thing. So it's a not-for-profit that supports people with bedbug problems and helps people identify specimens and things. And then I also breed bedbugs and supply them to research labs and universities, and we do product testing and that kind of thing. That's the commercial side of what I do. That's through a website called Cymex Store. In fact, most of my customers are scent detection dog teams who buy bed bugs to train their sniffer dogs. So I've got several hundred customers across Western Europe buying bed bugs for that. Yeah.
That's quite cool. That is. We'll come back to that. That's quite interesting. That is. So, what got you from when you left school to get into bed bugs? Did you love insects as a child?
Yeah, certainly insects, but all kinds of things in the garden. I had my parents made natural history films. They worked with David Attenborough making like Living Planet and those kind of things. So I was brought up on natural history, and I spent my childhood out in the garden finding bugs and things. And that developed. I went to Sheffield University and I did a zoology degree, and then I sort of gravitated towards the entomology lab. And he had a pot of bed bugs. That was at the end of the 90s. The professor of that lab had a pot of bed bugs, and they were all like, no one had seen bed bugs then. Everyone knew them from the bedtime nursery rhyme, but no one knew what bed bugs looked like at the end of the 90s. And that's where I started working on them. He employed me I worked with him for about 15 years in the end. Did a degree, master's, PhD, and lots of research on bed bugs. Yeah, and then set up my own business.
So your degree is actually in bed bugs.
My first degree is zoology, and then my master's was in the bedbug immune system. Bedbugs have a weird immune system because they have a weird mating system where the male stabs the female through the body wall and mates into her body cavity. So that's bad for females, and they have some adaptations to cope with that. So that was my master's, and then my PhD was more about their dispersal behaviour, their ecology. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why they aggregate and move around. Yeah.
So you can actually get a degree, a PhD in bed bugs.
You can get a PhD in anything. Like the key thing about PhD is it's novel research. So you're like drilling down to the like coal face of what we know about the subject, and then do some experiments and find out a bit more. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know. I've not got a PhD. I didn't know you could do it on anything. You can, but that's really sounds really difficult. But I suppose when you've got a passion for it,
that's it. Yeah,
because you seem to have a passion for.
I do have a passion. Yeah. It's been a big part of my life for a long time now.
So, how many years at university did you spend between different levels of your courses? Was it quite a lot?
Yeah, including my first degree, from when I started to when I finished. I think it was about 15 years, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a long time. Were you working in between, obviously? Or?
Yeah. So I was paid. They were paid back then. You could get. I was paid to do my PhD, and I did some research positions as well, and I was paid for those. So they were a job. Yeah, I was a researcher. Yeah.
Well, that's quite interesting. 15 years, but yeah, well, that is really interesting. That is.
Did
So
some cool field work. I went to Kenya a few times looking for the
yeah.
ancestors of bed bugs, which are bat bugs, and they live in caves. And so we were exploring rural Africa, looking for caves with bats in to find the ancestors of the bed bugs.
Did you find them?
We did, yeah. Afro-Simex. We found a few different species, but Afro-Simex were there in abundance, living on Egyptian fruit bats in caves in Mount Elgin. Yeah. Millions of them. Yeah.
So did you pick up bats then?
Yeah, we were running into caves with butterfly nets and netting the bats out of the air, and then seeing if they were carrying any bugs around on them. So we're handling all kinds of different bats. I must have maybe 10 or 12 different kinds of bats we captured. Yeah,
that's very interesting. I mean, yeah, I wasn't expecting that story. That's quite interesting. Did you have to have like people with you, because obviously you're in the wilderness and there's predators?
Well, we had a there were three of us. We're just a little research group of three. The professor that I was working with, and a postdoc, and me, and then we had like a cook with us and a driver. So there were 5 of us in a Land Rover driving around Africa.
Very nice. Adam Holt, who I told you about, says he wants some of them.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, thanks for watching, Adam. It's good to hear. So with bed bugs, one thing I've always wondered, how can it be that, say, we've had clients before where one person is in the same bed and gets bit, but the other person never gets touched?
Yeah, I hear that all the time. Yeah, and it's usually that the woman gets bit, and that like the wife gets bit, and the husband gets left alone. So there's 2 possibilities. One of them is that apparently women in bed have a higher skin temperature, so they could actually be more attractive. So it could be that they're being bitten. It could also be that they just react more, because around a third of people don't react to the bites. Also, bed bugs really don't cope very well with arm hair. They kind of trip over and struggle through it, and so they find it easier to feed on smooth skin than hairy skin. And if you're asleep in bed, you're much more likely to feel them moving over you if you have arm hair. There's been a research study from Sheffield University actually that showed that you can detect parasites trying to feed on you more easily if you have hairy arms. So it could be that the blokes lying in bed just are aware of the tickle subconsciously and brush it off, but the women get bitten more. Yeah, so there's a few possibilities. Yeah.
That's interesting, because I didn't know what was happening there, but yeah, that could be possible.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. Yeah, I must have heard it 100 times. Yeah.
I've had it. Loads of customers, and they say I've not been bitten. My missus has been bitten.
Yeah.
But
something like a third of people don't react. Yeah. Children tend to react the strongest because of their children have a really strong, healthy immune system, and so they tend to react the best. It tends to be that smokers have a very suppressed immune system and react the least. And then and old people often don't react, and that can be a real problem in nursing homes. Nursing homes are terrible for bed bugs because lots of people living close together and it's warm and they're there all the time. And if the old people aren't reacting to the bites, then the infestation can get bad before anyone notices, and then it has time to spread, and you end up chasing these infestations around for years sometimes.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that a lot of old people don't notice they've been bitten. So that wouldn't help. Also, Adam's saying that he told me this on the podcast before. He's saying this. They are now known to transmit MRSA. I believe that's
MRSA. Yeah, I've heard of that. I mean, anything can transmit MRSA. Anything. A teapot can transmit MRSA, can't it? It's just moving bacteria around. I have seen a study on that. There's been lots of studies about the kind of vector potential for bed bugs, and generally it's concluded that they're not really a major threat. The other thing that they can kind of theoretically transmit is Chagas disease. Chagas disease is normally transmitted by a much larger bug in South America, and in kind of the experiment was done in a cage full of mice, and if some of them had Chagas disease and there was lots of bugs in the cage, then the bugs could transmit it between the mice. But it's kind of an experimental situation. I don't think it's ever happened like naturally.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's
not too much disease potential. Yeah.
No. Well, it's not here anyway. It's not in the UK, is it?
Yeah.
Adam's just said mechanical transmission.
Yeah, yes. That's it. Yeah.
So, you've probably answered this one, but with bed bugs, how do they locate their hosts? Is it just what you've said about women might be slightly higher temperature?
How do they locate their host? So they're pretty much nocturnal. They're moving around at night. They'll be hungry. They'll walk into your flat and they'll detect carbon dioxide and body heat primarily. And but once they get really close, just get able to see where they want to bite. But the primary ones are heat and CO2, and you can trigger that. You can trigger that with with canisters of CO2 and traps that emit heat, and you can lure them in very successfully. So that's the main way. So they'll become active when they detect the CO2, and then they'll find their way into your bed following the heat. And once they feed, they'll feed immediately within a minute or so, and then they'll go and look for a good hiding place in the bed. And they'll try and, ideally they don't want to move more than a meter from where they feed to where they are hiding, especially because they're going to be laying their eggs there. So they don't. The nymphs, when they hatch out, are just over a millimeter long, so they have to be born fairly close to where they can. They have to hatch fairly close to where they can feed. So it's important that they have a good hiding place in a really convenient location.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, right next to your food. That makes sense. But isn't there a thing where, I might be wrong, where you could have bed bugs and then they can disappear for a period and reappear? Is that correct?
Sometimes you have you could have a successful, apparently successful treatment, wipe out all of the bug. Yeah, but one or two that you miss disperse from the bed, and they'll avoid the treated areas, and so they might be roaming around the flat for a while or roaming to the neighbours. Often a problem in hotels, they'll think they've got on top of it, and then 3 months later they'll be back in a different room. So you can kind of kill almost all of them, and then a bit later they pop back up again. That's kind of a common pattern for bed bugs. Almost getting full control and never quite stamping them out. Yeah. Like head lice. I had the same battle with my kids when they were when my kids were going to school getting head lice. You kind of think you were there. Yeah. It was fine for the boys. Yeah, shorten the hair, two brushes and you're done. But the girl, man, it was a relentless, relentless.
I bet you were enjoying that one. You were like, oh, these bugs.
The first time it was cool. I got some really good macro photos of head lice, which I've still got. Yeah, I've got a really powerful macro camera setup, and I can take photographs of really tiny things, and I got some good ones. But then, that soon got boring when when I was constantly losing the battle. Yeah.
But I thought you'd like something like that, just because I know you like bugs of all sorts, don't you?
I do, yeah, it's true, yeah. Especially the biting ones, really, yeah.
You've been bit that many times now. Do you feel bed bugs?
I don't I can feed pots of them. I often have. Well, I have pots I keep most of my bugs in pots like this, and I have something like 50,000 of them in culture. And I can put a mesh lid on and just elastic band it to my arms, and they'll fill up in about 5 minutes. And I won't feel that. Might feel a general tingling, but that could be several hundred bugs in there, and I won't get any skin reaction, and I won't really notice. But if I'm doing tests in my test bedrooms, I'll be trying to get to sleep, and I'll feel the little tickle and the scratch as they're climbing into the bed to bite me. Yeah, so I'm aware of them having a go. Yeah.
Right, tell people your test beds and what you actually mean. A lot of people get surprised now. Well.
So in 2019, we built the cabin that I'm sitting in, and it has 2 bedrooms set up. They just look like conventional bedrooms, except that there's cameras mounted. I've got infrared cameras mounted on the walls and ceiling, so I can see what the bugs do. And I've got carpets and skirting boards and bedside tables. They look very standard for bedrooms. And I used those for testing bed buggy products. And initially it was to develop a a Wi-Fi bedbug trap called or a LoRa bedbug trap called the iBug, which was with Russell IPM. But once I had the facility, I found that there were lots of people that wanted that facility, and so this week I've been testing a bedbug repellent for an American company. In a couple of weeks' time, a Swedish company is coming over. In fact, that will be the second Swedish company this year is coming over to test their bedbuggy products. And so I've tested traps and sprays, and there's a new thing called the Exhale, which releases CO2 to trigger bedbugs to forage. That's from a Norwegian company. So I've tested all sorts of things. Sorry, say again.
I think.
Yeah, I think Kilgem are selling it now.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
did a big study on Apprehend, which is like this fungal spore product, which is in the process of being registered. Who knows how long like HSE and ESHA will take to deliberate, but yeah, it's getting close to being available for use in Europe and UK.
I've heard about
all sorts of things. Yeah,
my American friends, and they really rave about it. Is it a good product?
Apprehend. Yeah, I love it. It's most amazing product. Like the amount that you need. So I was testing. I was releasing 20 adults and 20 nymphs into the rooms, and then I was monitoring mortality over 2 weeks, and I'd almost always got 100% mortality within the first week. But I ran the rep for 2 weeks. But out of all of my treatment replicates, only one single bug survived to pass the 2-week mark, and it was pretty much wiped everything out. But the best thing about it is how like practical it seems. It's applied with a little like electric battery powered paint sprayer, and you need I needed 25 milliliters to spray a bit like a zone around the bed, I sprayed around the bed frame, around the bed legs, and I sprayed the wall floor junction. You don't have to soak everything, and you don't have to look for where the bugs are. You just want to get some like perimeters in between where the bugs are likely to be hiding and where they will have to feed. So like around the outside of the bed frame, around the floor, those kind of places. It was 25 milliliters. This pot's is 50 milliliters, so it was like half of one of those in an electric paint sprayer, just a little mist around the place.
Wow.
And that was like that provided that was pretty much 100% effective for the first 2 months, and after between the second and third month it started to tail off. So the residual like efficacy is also really amazing, much better than I find for any of the chemical things I've tried.
That sounds great. Is it a toxic product?
No, it's not. No, it's they're fungal spores, and they're selected because they're entomopathogenic, which means they attack insects. And there's lots of different strains of this. The species is Behaviour bassiana, and they pick a strain that's particularly good at killing bed bugs. Interestingly, it doesn't have negative effects on bees and some other things like that. It's not really dangerous to the ecosystems, and also it can't escape because the fungus only completes its life cycle at very high humidity, so it'll kill all the bugs. And if you collect them in and put them in a humid chamber, then they start sprouting mycelium. But it has to be like more than 95% humidity in order for it to produce like mycelium and then produce more fungal spores. So what you apply wipes out the bugs for about 2 to 3 months, and then it's kind of completely inert then. So it seems like a great product. It seems very safe to use. Certainly hasn't had any negative effects on me.
That's really good to hear. I can't wait to test it when it finally releases.
Using it in the US and Canada, it seems popular there.
That's good to
hear. I hope
that.
it comes here.
That's Adam's saying it's similar to Into Care for mosquitoes. I don't know.
I don't know that one. Yeah, mosquitoes completely other subject for me.
Well, we don't do. I've never dealt with mosquitoes. It's not a thing we're required to do.
Apparently, it's widely used. Like this Behaviour bassiana is widely used in crop protection. So it's already widely registered for crops. Yeah, for crop protection.
Oh, that's good to hear. So that will be a good one to try out when it's finally released.
Yeah.
That does sound like, because people want more more non-toxic products out there.
Yeah.
And if it's a good product, it will be widely adopted, I would have thought.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah. Yeah. And you could, because you need such a small amount, you can, if you were doing a hotel or something, you could have like a 1 litre bottle in your hand and one in your bag, and you'd be able to do stacks of rums. Probably you could, the battery fits in a little kind of bum bag on your waist, and you have this little electric paint sprayer thing, and you can just go to town. You're hardly carrying anything. It's lightweight. Yeah, seems very, very practical. Yeah,
good. I can't wait for it to come. It sounds great. I keep hearing about it I go on LinkedIn and the Americans talk about it highly.
Yeah,
like it's not available here.
No,
it will be
soon. Yeah. It's Andermatt Biocontrol in Switzerland are the ones who are trying to get it registered for use in Europe and the UK. It's an expensive, like getting things onto the market. It's an expensive hobby. Yeah, it takes very time consuming and costs a lot. Yeah,
I've heard, because a lot of our products are being for rats and that are being removed, and new things are coming on, and some of the manufacturers that work for them, they say it can take 5 to 6 years sometimes.
Yeah.
Can get very
I
slow.
visited Bayer recently, and they said they're like in the business of finding new molecules that are effective. They do lots with mosquito control, so they have an army of chemists just developing new molecules. But they said when they find something that's good, it can cost 10 million euros and take 10 years to get that thing to a product on the market. And it has to pass, and there's a very good chance it won't make it, just because of it has to be, human safe and environmentally safe and everything else. Yeah.
Okay, Adam's got a question. Can it be sprayed directly onto the mattress? Because most of our products can't be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, because it hasn't been registered yet. I don't know what in registration terms. I don't know what you'll be allowed to do with it. But I would say it's probably not necessary. You only need to create little barriers that they're going to walk over. So normally the outside of the bed frame is fine, or like around the outside of a divan base is perfect, across the back of the headboard, that kind of thing. If you sprayed it on the mattress, it would presumably then be underneath a sheet, so that might you might cover it up anyway, unless the person was sleeping directly on the mattress.
Okay. I just asked it because he asked it in chat, but yeah, thanks for the comment. But yeah, looking forward to it. It does sound good. It does. So obviously, did you get loads of work or calls when the whole Paris bedbug situation kicked off?
Oh yeah, it really did. That became a kind of global phenomenon. It was amazing. Yeah, I'd say for a month, I had requests for interviews pretty much every day, which could be newspapers and TV and radio, everything, and it was completely global. It was like, it was South Korea and Japan, and and they were all reporting the same stuff about, like, the story they wanted to push was that if tourists go from Japan to Paris or London, they might bring bed bugs back with them. It was all very fear mongering. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They like that, the headlines. It sells well.
Yeah. Especially headlines about bad stuff happening for us that makes them feel better about themselves. Yeah. I don't know.
I suppose you said that bed bugs can be anywhere, can't they?
Yeah. We've had bed bugs. The Romans had bed bugs, and the ancient Greeks had bed bugs. They've really been around for a very long time. Yeah. And they go up and down, and they do better in areas where lots of people live close together, and they are more likely to spread if there's lots of movement of people. So it's not a new thing at all. Yeah. I don't know what triggered the Paris thing, except that we did have we had a similar thing, like a media bedbug storm in 2012 when we hosted the Olympics. So I think that the reporters just get like they look for some kind of like horror story just to cover another angle.
They do, because I believe in Paris they were on. They weren't on proper beds in the village.
That's right. They made disposable beds, didn't they? Yeah.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah,
because I believe that the bug bed sense product was actually in all the rooms, from what I heard. That they managed to get all all the product, I'm pretty sure that the company advertised that they got all their products in the athletes' rooms. They did to help them.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, really. The generation time of a bed bug is like 2 months. So the duration of the Olympics isn't really long enough for bugs to. Yeah, sure, you can bring some in, but the infestation isn't really going to grow to a size and then spread significantly. It seems unlikely it would really. The number of people that would be affected seems, fairly inconsequential, really. Yeah.
I mean, it's headlines at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whatever sells bugs.
During that period, the Guardian phoned me up and they said that they'd already done 3 stories on bed bugs this month, and it's still trending really well. So they wanted to do another one, and that's why they phoned me up to find out another story. And just think, well, so the media is just like fabricating it out of thin air.
Well, the analytics say we want more bed bug stories. Yeah.
People are clicking, so we've got to keep giving them that. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It's like they like when they like the Asian hornets that we're getting some over in the UK, but we can't call them Asian hornets, can we? The murder hornets. But they call it something different, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's like I once heard about there was a horsefly. I got told by a customer, a horsefly, but it wasn't. They were calling it like a vampire fly or something.
Really? Yeah.
It's sweep in the UK. I was like, no, I think you're fine. It's just a horsefly.
Yeah.
They like to dramatise bugs and things like that, don't they? Give it a new name, make it scarier.
Anything, exactly. Anything that people are afraid of, because people click what they're afraid of, don't they?
They do. They do. You are right there. So obviously, bed bugs have been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Have they evolved over time to now?
Well, the group, the family that they come from is the Siamesidae, and they're pretty much all bat bugs. But there hasn't really been much evolution from the bat bugs to the human bed bug, because the same species, Simex lectularis, you can still find living on bats. You can find them there's a few places in Eastern Europe where I know there are good roosts. I'm actually hoping to visit my friend in Czechia, and we're going to take a trip hopefully to Slovakia, and he knows some good places there where you can hopefully find Simex lectularis living on bats. So the same species is still a bat bug, but it hasn't crossed over many times. You can collect bugs from the bats and bugs from the people and compare them genetically, and you can see that the transition happened somewhere between 5,000 and 20,000 years ago, and it hasn't happened very often. So it's not happening all the time. They're not constantly spreading from bats to people. It's just been a few isolated incidents that's kind of kicked off this human bedbug population. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. With obviously evolution, not a lot's changed, but have they evolved in the sense of when you're treating bedbugs? Because everyone does. Not everyone, just to preface that, a lot of people do pyrethroid.
In that sense,
insecticide spray.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. In that sense, in the kind of their adaptation to resistance to insecticides, definitely. They're morphologically they look identical. You couldn't look at a bed bug from a bat and a bed bug from a person see any difference, because it's the time frame is just too short. Thousands of years is too short. They've evolved over millions of years, but they can adapt to things like pyrethroid insecticides very well. All insecticides very quickly. They're very good at they're good at founding new populations. A single individual can lay some eggs and then breed with its own offspring, and they don't really suffer inbreeding depression like mammals would. And so you only have to get like these positive mutations to conquer like an insecticide, and then that one can start a new population. The resistance problem is a significant problem. I do lots of resistance testing, and they can now live on treated surfaces for they need exposure times of days and days in order for it to have an effect. If it's a dry residue. If you spray a bug with pretty much any insecticide, you can drown it. But if you're relying on that like dry, lasting residue, they need to be sat on it for days at a time in order for it to have any effect.
Okay.
And that's the strongest ones. You know, the two strongest, I think, in the UK at the moment are Simitrol Super and Cytrol Forte, and they're both like 35-40% pyrethroid. And if with the populations I collected most recently, I treated wooden tiles and I confined bugs to those wooden tiles. And those were the only two products that killed anything in 36 hours of continuous exposure. All of the other products on the market at the time, I didn't cause any mortality in 36 hours. And those two killed 60%. And the 40% that they didn't kill were kind of seemingly totally unaffected, walking around completely normally. And they'd obviously be the ones that would walk off to next door and start a new infestation again. Yeah.
Okay, that's one point. Why I was asking that is because I remember on the Beauties and Beasties, you meant, if I might be wrong, correct me. Did you mention that beds are laced in pyrethroids anyway?
Yeah. That was staggering to hear, but apparently it's been completely common. It completely standard across the like hotel bed manufacturing industry for years, decades maybe. I've met a few like large scale hotels, and they do it as standard. And they contacted me because they were looking for an alternative, because they've kind of come to the realization that it's not working. Yeah.
So this is just hotel beds, not normal beds you buy at shops.
The big kind of hotel divan beds are manufactured very often, and the mattresses as well, out of pyrethroid impregnated fabrics. So it's completely obvious that there'd be resistance issues, because it's in the environment all of the time, and so there's so much exposure that you just select out all the weak ones and you only have a resistant population. Yeah,
it's crazy to me. This is absolutely crazy that they're laced with pyrethroids, making everyone's job harder as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's the same as antibiotic resistance. Yeah, you've got to use these things really sparingly, or they just don't work.
Have you had any discussions about them stopping them doing it, or are they not listening?
But it was in the UK. It was Hypnos is apparently the biggest bed supplier for like Premier Inn and those kind of things. And one of the directors of that company is also called Richard Naylor, so it was fun going to meet him. So I talked to him about it, but they have stopped doing that for that reason. They figured out for themselves, I think, that it wasn't working. And then I had a very similar conversation with an Italian bed manufacturer on a similar kind of scale. Yeah.
Did they agree? Did they agree with you?
Well, they come to their own conclusions, and they contacted me trying to find an alternative solution. Yeah. So they're well aware that it's not working, and so hopefully perhaps there is going to be a change in the tide. But it's very difficult for them to move away, because they lose a kind of marketing point. If everyone else is selling mattresses and beds that have some impregnated stuff that makes it bedbug proof, you can't. It's very difficult to be the one manufacturer that's not doing that anymore.
Is that how they sell them, then? Do they say it's bed? They actually say it's bedbug proof?
Yeah, that's why they do it. Yeah, it's a marketing point for the hotels. Yeah,
but surely that claim must be false. It doesn't stop.
Well, it's getting more false over time. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
maybe it used to.
Yeah. And it stops. Yeah, you start to sound silly if you're trying to convince the hotels, but they're saying, "But look at all of our bed bugs," you know.
Well, you've got a good point there. You have, You've attracted quite a few people tonight. We've got Andrew Sinifsky from America as well.
Wow.
You have in the building.
Talking about Bavaria, yeah.
But that's it's interesting fact. But I'm happy to know. I'm happy to find out that your average bed isn't laced with it.
Not domestic beds. Yeah, as far as I know. I've only talked to the hotel bed manufacturers. Yeah.
Well, that's where the biggest problems are in hotels more than anything. But they are everywhere. But they are predominantly high percentage are in hotels and B&Bs, aren't they?
It's all the places where lots of people are sleeping close together, and lots of movement of lots of changes of guests. Hostels, even like remote mountain huts have major problems with bed bugs, often because they have backpackers staying for one night. One night at a time over the summer months, and that's a great way to move bugs around. People then sleeping close to their bags, high turnover of people staying close together. You get it's a problem in aeroplanes, particularly where the cabin crew sleep. It's always where people sleep, It seems to be, sleeper trains. Yeah, people sleeping close together. Big problem with bed bugs.
Is there any, say, it might be a silly question, I'll ask it. Like the bed bug issues we have in England, UK, is the problem the same everywhere, or have some countries got worse problems with bed bugs, or is it just case by case?
So big cities generally, every country has big cities pretty much.
Yeah.
Big cities have problems with bed bugs. They're not so much of a problem in rural areas. But I was talking to a friend recently in Zimbabwe or Zambia. Zimbabwe. They're apparently having big problems with bed bugs in Zimbabwe. And in fact, they contacted me because they wanted to know which species they had, and the one that they have is the tropical one. So it looks really similar, but there's a temperate one and a tropical one, and they're both on the increase. They both got resistance to insecticides. It's the same kind of factors help both of them. So when you've got lots of movement of people, big cities, people living close together, then the bugs increase too.
Okay, because I had Francis from Hatch Pest Control from Nigeria. Yeah, and he mentioned bed bugs are a real big problem in Nigeria. And
that's probably also they do have both species in Africa. You can find Cymex lectularis, the temperate one, and Cymex hemipterus, the tropical one, co-occurring in Kenya and probably a bunch of other countries in Africa. So I don't know which one his would be, but it could be Cymex hemipterus. It's especially a problem if you have people living in mud huts where they can live in the walls. They make their walls out of sticks and then cake them with mud, and it just provides a million places to hide, and it's that nice rough texture that lets bugs climb around all over it. They don't like these shiny plastics and metal and things. That makes it quite difficult for them. But mud walls with holes in, perfect. Yeah, in a nice warm climate. Yeah.
Oh, it's a perfect breeding ground then. It is. They can hide away back in the mud.
Yeah, can't spray it with anything then. There, yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. So we've obviously bed bug treatments. Do you find that obviously you do testing of a lot of products? Do you find that heat treatments are very effective? Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with heat treatments is it takes some skill with the person who's using it. They have to understand something about the structure of the building and whether there's cold spots around windows, or whether adding heat is going to push bugs from your wall cavities into the neighboring rooms, that kind of thing. So it's not idiot proof, but if you're competent with it, it's brilliant. They definitely, I won't say definitely, it seems unlikely that they would ever become resistant to that. If you can warm them up above about 45 degrees, then they're pretty much guaranteed to die.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask because you're obviously the bed bug expert. I've never done heat treatment. We don't have that kind of kit, but I know there is firms that have got them.
Yeah. I've been a fly on the wall in a bunch of heat treatments. I don't handle the kit myself, but I've been a fly on the wall on some really big heat treatments where they have lorries parked outside with diesel generators heating up water and then piping it in through big orange tubes into heat exchangers. So this is really big kit. The whole kit arrives on 2 big lorries, and then much smaller things where you have electric heaters in rooms, or bubble treatments where you have a pop-up gazebo, insulated gazebo that you just put over the bed. Yeah, but on all scales, if you do it carefully with temperature probes to identify all the cold spots, and you do it for long enough, then it's definitely an effective way to manage your bed bugs. Yeah.
Good to hear. Have you been on any jobs where I've heard in London sometimes they heat the entire building?
Yeah,
that'll be quite a big job,
lorry ones. Those big lorry ones were that was in a Premier Inn. It's probably fine to say it was a long time ago. That was in a Premier Inn, and they heated up several floors, basically a wing of it. So they have lots of heat exchangers, and you could go in you could go in and walk around in there, but it was hot. It was uncomfortable. They're aiming for 50 degrees, so you don't want to be in there too long. And if you touch anything metal, it kind of burns you.
You would, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But but it was for that one. I took tubes of bed bugs. They were the bugs that were sealed into ventilated tubes, and I hid them in all the places I could think of, like inside the bed base and under the wardrobe and under the carpet and between the mattress and the bed base. And they were all dead in like 2 hours. And that heat treatment was going on for I think about 12 hours. 12 hours of being hot, and then they would have like a slow cool down period. If you're doing those massive like structural heat treatments, you've got to like bring the temperature up quite steadily and then cool it down quite steadily, and you've got to make sure you don't go over. If you hit about 55, 60 degrees, then the melamine edging starts to peel off all of the furniture. That's the first thing to go. But you can cause all sorts of problems. Yeah, you can evaporate lots of water from like the toilets and things and steam the room, and that can make the tiles fall off the wall. So it takes some skill not to just cause massive damage.
I didn't think of things like that. You're right. You could. I never thought of things. I suppose you've got to take all them into consideration. I just thought you heated it up, it was done. But no, you got to go up, then you got to go down in temperature. I didn't think of any of them. Yeah, they're great points there. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the guy treatment, they become experts in that one thing, and they know all the limitations.
Because there is firms that literally just do bed bug heat treatment. There is.
Some of the big pest control companies, generally the big pest control companies in the UK that do it, like hire in that service from a big firm. That specializes.
They normally subcontract it, don't they, to somebody?
That's it.
They do. What do you think about these steam treatment kits?
Like the Cymex Eradicator. Yeah, it's good. I've tested some of those. Yeah. They're good too. So there's no residual, obviously. So you can kill everything that you hit. You have to go slow and steady. You can blast it into all the cracks and crevices. But when I've played with those, it's annihilated the bugs really fast. But Pulte actually commissioned me to collect some macro video of steaming in action, and it was really difficult because if you're trying to film stuff and you fill up the room with steam, you can't see anything. So that was a challenge. And then by the time the steam clears, everything's dead. So we got some good shots, but it was very effective at killing bugs.
That's good to hear. I just thought I'd ask because I've never thought about buying it, but I've never had enough jobs to warrant it. I haven't. That's the problem. But
so people say that the struggle some people have with it are like things like having to top up. Do you have to cool it down to refill it, or the kind of, so you can't just keep going and going and going. At some point there has to be a cool down and fill up phase, that kind of thing. And because there's no residual, if there are any bugs that are dispersed or they're coming from the neighbors or something, you have to keep that in mind. You could add something that has some residual efficacy, like diatomaceous earth or silica dioxide. These are quite good for offering lasting residuals, so your bed doesn't get reinfested again straight away. But you have to with those ones, they're very they absorb moisture from the air, so you don't want to like steam the thing and put down your DE, because your DE will suck up all the water and then be less effective. So you have to make sure it's like aired out and dried out, and then you can apply your desiccant dusts.
So you're looking at, really, to do that, you're looking at a day's work, aren't you? You've got to be looking at a day's work, surely, to do that.
Or at least or some time in the middle for it to time. Or maybe a return visit the next day to apply the dust or something, if you're doing it that way. I think steam plus dust is quite a good option if you're struggling with resistance issues with the chemicals. Then steam for your knockdown and some dust for the lasting residual is a good way to go. I know lots of people that do it like that. In fact, in Scandinavia, they've really moved away from chemicals more than we have here, and that's pretty much all they do kind of heat treatment, steam, and dust.
That's that. I said, is that chemicals of all pest control, or just bed with insects? Is that just bed bugs, or is that all there?
I got the impression that they have generally a culture of being more wary of insecticides and more people not wanting insecticides sprayed around their houses. And I think fewer things are registered for use there. But the big pest control companies that work there do most of their bed bug work with heat, steam, and desiccant dusts. DE.
No, I totally get it. I do. It's the world's becoming more eco-conscious, and chemicals are putting out, and that's probably why they've made that decision. It's, I actually know everything more regulations are coming in, and stuff's getting tighter with what products are on the market. So I probably get why they've made that decision.
Yeah,
they have.
Yeah.
So what else? What would you say? If you were a pest controller, what would your best method be I'll just go back again. What would your best method be to find if you've got bed bugs?
Find if you've got them. For me, I would just do a visual inspection. I think with some experience, you can look at a bed and have a pretty good idea where the bugs are going to hide, and it'll be different for different types of bed, but they are quite predictable. And you won't necessarily find the bug itself straight away, but they do leave a lot of those fecal spots in really like classic places, like really predictable places. And so I do go, like I get asked to do expert witness stuff. People say I'm being bitten, and there's some kind of dispute about whether or not there's bugs there. And for me, I tend to do it by visual inspection. I just take everything apart and have a really good look, and I take photos. But I do think that I think the scent detection dogs do a great job, but they're specialists at being able to search rooms very rapidly. So they can search a room in maybe 5 minutes or something. Some of them do it in less than that, which means that they can. If there's a guest complaint of bed bugs in a hotel, they can search that one and the ones either side and above and below, or they can search the whole corridor, and they can help to pin down which parts of the building have a bug problem. And in hotels in particular, the bugs can be inside like big hollow bed bases or behind fixed headboards, and they're just awful for manually searching, because you can't get at them, especially if the headboard's screwed to the wall and there's bugs behind it. You just can't check, so you have to take everything apart. But a dog can stick his nose behind there and has a pretty good he might not get every one unless he's very close, but he has a pretty good idea of where the bugs are hiding. So
even if the bed headboard is screwed down, they can smell bed bugs are behind.
Sniff behind. Yeah, they'll just run. They get trained to run their nose. Often the handler's like guiding them with his hand, and the dog will follow his nose like along the edges and up the side of there and across their curtains, and so you can get the dog to send his nose along the bottom of the headboard or along the top of the headboard or inside the bed base, and they're pretty good. I've seen them do some really impressive things. Find really small numbers of bugs in some with all the windows open. There's lots of airflow. So some dogs are really remarkable. What they can find.
I asked you that question because I knew you were going to bring bed bug detection up, because I was for dogs. I think it's pretty cool. I've not seen it in action. I've watched podcasts with people talking about it, and it seems like quite a good method, I suppose, for hotels. When say all your guests were out one day, or I don't know how it worked, you could do a sweep of all the floors. And quite rapidly. You could.
They use them on these big like cruise ships, because the cruise ships are docked for such a short time. They have hundreds of people, thousands of people, and they all get off, and then you've got like 4 hours to turn the ship around, so you can get in and you can search all the rooms. You just couldn't do that manually, or they've got like wood screwed to the walls. It's too much to disassemble to have any chance of finding where the bugs are. But dogs can do it.
It's a good method, I think. It's an interesting method. It is. It works.
It does. Planes are another one. Planes often have like honeycomb like foam seats. They try and make everything as lightweight as possible by having holes in everything, which provides millions of places for bugs to hide. But and so you can't look in all the places where they could be hiding, but you can bring dogs on, and so dogs are regularly used on planes. I know someone very well who that's pretty much his main business.
Oh, nice. I mean, I'd imagine on planes, do they fumigate instead of doing heat treatments on planes when they find them?
Normally, if they get hit on a plane seat, they'll unbolt that seat, lift it off the plane and take it away, and then probably put it in a heat tent. But it'll be processed off the plane, and they'll just swap in another one. all about the quick
fair
turnaround
enough.
times. Yeah.
No, that's fair
Pit
enough.
stops.
That is. I've got another question here. Which aspects of the bedbug biology do you think is often misunderstood by us pest controllers?
Aspects of the bedbug biology. I don't know if what do I think that you can misunderstand? It's hard for me to say what you would misunderstand. So I know that I get lots of public emailing me. I spend a few hours a day responding to emails of people who either have bed bugs or think that they have bed bugs. And often the people who think that they have bed bugs have had multiple treatments for bed bugs, and the problem they're still getting bites or whatever. And it turns out that it's not bed bugs at all. It's like carpet beetles or something. Carpet beetles is probably the single biggest cause of people thinking they have bed bugs, and it's because they like the larvae are hairy, and they're one of the most common insects to find in a bedroom. They'll be in the like dust and debris around the bed, or sometimes hiding in the bed frame. And if one of those hairy larvae gets mixed up in your bedclothes and you end up sleeping on it, you'll wake up with a whole bunch of things that look like insect bites. Again, people react differently, but you can end up with lots of red lumps that look like insect bites. And people see so much stuff on TV about bed bugs. Everyone's first thought, if they've got insect bites, is it must be bed bugs. And very often the pest controller will say, "Oh yeah, probably is bed bugs. I'll spray some insecticide all over your bed," and it never was. That I come across those situations pretty much daily. Yeah. So just identifying which things are bed bugs, would probably be the first one. Yeah.
You are supposed to identify, because you're on about what we know as the woolly bear stage.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's what we call it, the woolly bear stage.
Yeah.
And if you've got one of them,
you might not find the bug itself. They are really common. So I identify lots of specimens for people, and it's something like 20% of the specimens that we get sent every year are carpet beetles. Carpet beetles, adults or larvae, So they're one of the most common insects to find in the bedroom, and because they can cause people to have these skin reactions, they're like the number one thing for making people think that they've got bed bugs. But there are all sorts of other things, like lots of people like just have a rash all over their. I think this was this morning or yesterday evening. This morning, someone just had sent me a photo of their chest and belly, and they had maybe 50 or 60 red blotches, a bit like mosquito bites, all over their torso. And the pest controller had come in and said, "Yeah, probably is bed bugs. Better spray your bed for bed bugs." But obviously, if they've suddenly got 50 bed bug bites, that you're going to find tons of evidence of bed bugs. They're hiding somewhere nearby. They're as big as an apple seed, or a small apple seed. Yeah. You only have to have a quick look. You can't not find that many bed bugs in a bed, and all of the black debris and cast skins and eggs that they leave behind. So it should be obvious. Those things should be obvious. So I guess my answer to your question then would be identifying which things really are bed bugs.
Well, it's true, because we obviously, I've had it before where we have people obviously that think they've got them, but they've actually got delusional parasitosis, and they show you loads and loads of bits of fluff and skin debris, and they're actually telling you that you've got bed bugs. I'm saying you haven't. You've got to learn how to deal with it. You've got to be careful.
They're so difficult to deal with. Like, they're so much harder to deal with than the people who actually do have bed bugs, because those people, you can find them and treat them and then they're gone. But some of these people have this going on for 15. No, even the most crazy one was recently. A lady and her husband came to my house, and she's been she's had this problem for 40 years. She thinks that she visited a farm when she was a child and brought something back, whether it was bugs or mites or something, and now she's infested, which of course doesn't make any sense. You can't be infested by something for 40 years and never find concrete evidence of what it is. But she's absolutely certain. It's so difficult.
It's really hard, because I've had it sometimes. We've had it sometimes where the ladies actually rang us after. She had a right go at us. We didn't just call, a call-out charge. And she says, "Oh, you could see them crawling all over my face, not bed bugs or whatever they were." But there's nothing crawling over your face.
Yeah.
Oh, you charlatan! I says,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah. I get all that as
just
well.
we just
Yeah.
charged you a call that price. I'm not
Yeah.
saying we don't do it, but there is firms out there that you just say you got something and they'll just spray.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't do
It
that.
reinforces it. Like I always talk to these people because they seek me out. You know, they find me on the web, and so every year I have interactions with these people, and very often they've had a whole load of treatments for bed bugs or some pest in their bedroom, and that just reinforces it. You know, I've had 9 treatments and they've still not managed to get rid of them, but that's because they never were there in the first place. They just needed the pest controllers to consistently say there is nothing, therefore we're not going to treat. It ruins people's lives, and it's really hard to know how to help them. And you're definitely the enemy. They see you as totally incompetent if you have a look and say there's nothing here.
Yeah, it is a difficult area in pest control because it's not something you're actually within the job trained to deal with.
No.
But you're not allowed to spray unless there actually is a problem with any insect.
Yeah,
and it is hard when they're telling you, nearly crying to you, that they're there.
Yeah,
you can't find anything, but you just got to learn how to deal with it. You've got to you've got to be careful at the same time as well.
Yeah,
they take
but firm, like you're. Yeah. Make them. I always try and make them aware of the. You know, I tell them straight up now. I used to kind of go along with it more, but I tell them about this condition. There's a recognized psychological condition called delusional parasitosis. It almost always. I think only one time in 25 years have I met a bloke who had it. All the others were women. They were all older women, probably like 60s, 70s. Usually clean freaks. You know that the house is immaculate. And they're collecting every speck, and they're intelligent in that they're literate. They're reading everything on the internet, which doesn't help at all. And they just go completely doolally of it, and it's really difficult to help them. But you have to be very patient. Tell them what it is. Don't spray just in case. You know, maybe it is bed bugs. We'll just spray to be on the safe side. That doesn't help at all.
No, because then they've confirmed that they've got them. And you may not have.
Yeah, and it must be even harder to, you know, if you treat and don't get rid of it. Because it wasn't ever there, then it just sort of makes them think it must be even tougher and even more resistant strain, or you know, I've had 9 treatments and they've still not gone. It must be a really tough bug.
Yeah, but it doesn't. No, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's some people get 9 treatments. I imagine that's a lot of money.
That as well, and sometimes spending a lot of money on things like buying the Polti-Cymex eradicator. So I've spoken to a few people that bought those as private people. You know, they're like £600 to £800, and so that's they're buying like the professional kit in order to try and deal with a problem that doesn't exist.
I've never heard of that. That's a new one on me.
Yeah, no, I've come across that a few times, including in the last couple of weeks.
That's a new one on me. That is. I've not heard of that. Thanks for telling me. I'm sure people have learned something from that. I've never heard of them actually doing that. But it's.
I've known people to treat themselves with insecticide and bleach. I've known people to make their home environment, like people who need home support from carers, have made their home environment so toxic that the carers won't come into the home because there's too much chemical over everything. They just they feel like it's not safe.
Wow. That's really bad. I feel sad about that. That's really bad, isn't it?
It's really heartbreaking trying to help these people. It really is. And I spend so much more time trying to help those people than the people who actually have bed bugs, where you're like, yes, it's bed bugs, you know, either go and get professional help or do this. So much. I've driven. I live about 3 to 4 hours from London, and I've driven to London a couple of times just to go and talk to these people, search everything carefully and say there definitely aren't any bed bugs here, and there never has been. There's no fecal spots or anything else, just to try and let them calm down. You know, okay, maybe, and actually, and it does sometimes work. So it does,
It sometimes
There's one,
works.
yeah, it does one. Yeah, there was one lady who'd been struggling with this for 15 years, and I just said there is nothing here, and then I've heard from a few times since that she has managed to like somehow mentally come to terms with the fact that this was something cooked up by her imagination and wasn't real. Yeah, so it somehow released her from it. But she's like a rare one. Lots of them, I don't think I have any positive benefit for, but I do try. Yeah.
That's one nice story, that is, because you're more qualified than us pest controllers when it comes to bed bugs, because you're more qualified than us in terms of knowing what you to do with bed
about
bugs.
My little niche. Yeah, I mean, if they read lots about me on the internet and then I come to their house and say they're definitely not here, hopefully that, and for some people that's enough to just think, okay, maybe it isn't then. Yeah, hopefully. Sometimes. Yeah,
but is there any new big development? Obviously you can't talk about it. Is there any new technologies in terms of detection for bugs, or
in terms of what? Sorry.
In terms of detecting them in different methods.
So there's a few companies working on bed bug monitors and pheromones. There's still a lot of research into the attractants. And I think there's a lot of potential. I've never found any. If I take a solvent, if I take the dirty paper from these culture pots and it gets really black, use that as an attractant. It works much better than anything that's commercially available, which makes me think there's scope for improvement in the things that are commercially available. So, and I know of a few companies that are working on attractants. So there's that, and there's a couple of companies that are developing traps. There's a company in Sweden called Simulair, which are two engineering students from KTH University, and they've built like a big tall thing. It's about 2 feet tall, and it has a CO2 canister in, and it has a pitfall trap around the bottom, and it has a heat source, and it's very techy and programmed, and it has cameras in there that can that they're able to identify bed bugs from other things, AI algorithms to identify what bugs are there, and the machine itself is like their business model is to rent out these machines to people who need it. So someone might get back from holiday and think that they've got some bites and they can rent the machine for a couple of weeks, and it'll just release blast of CO2, and it's warm. And I had amazing results in my test rooms. It caught every night. It caught the most when I stood it on the bed, but it caught anywhere in the room. And the tank, it's only so big because of the CO2 tank, but that means it lasts a couple of weeks if they're careful with it. So that's good. They probably only have enough units to service Sweden at the moment, but if it takes off, it might go further afield. There's the Exhale lot. So that's from Scartech. It's a Norwegian company. They're the ones who have this like CO2 canister on a timer that works in a similar way, and you can use that in conjunction with other traps. And I think that they're developing a trap to go with it. Ideally, if you're having something that's producing CO2, you need a trap with heat because the CO2 is very good at activating bed bugs. So they come out of their hiding places and roam around, but they're not really attracted to the CO2. It just I think there's too much airflow, and it just sort of flows around in the room, and the bugs run around all randomly. If you then put a trap in the middle, a pitfall trap in the middle with some heat in it, then they get sucked in like a magnet. So that's the kind of winning combination: CO2 to wake them up and heat to lure them in.
Yeah, there's some clever people out there, isn't there? Developing some clever devices for us.
Yeah. So it's still a very active, market. There's lots of different groups developing things. Yeah.
Have you tried the Bug Sense product? Have you tried that one?
Yeah, I've tried that one. Yeah, I think of all the sticky traps, it's the most intelligently designed in that it has the nice, it's got a nice grippy plastic, and it's black. Like black traps always outperform white traps. Bed bugs like dark crevices, and they don't like white, and they don't like shiny. So the Bug Sense thing is intelligently made in that it's of a plasticky material that they can walk on, and it's dark, and it's a nice crevice so they can squeeze in, and it glues them from the top side. So traps with glue on the bottom, they tend to run onto the glue and then get their front legs stuck and then stop and then reverse themselves off, and so they they're much better at escaping from that kind of trap. But with the glue on the top side, the bug tends to run up and get stuck from above, and then he can't do anything about pulling himself off. So that's all good. But I do think that they could improve their lure, because I haven't found in my test setups, in my arenas and in my rooms, I haven't found much evidence that the lure helps. But it's an active area. Maybe in a year there will be better lures on the market, or they'll have developed theirs further.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it, and it's worked for the customers I've had, but we don't do tons and tons of bedbug jobs. We do not as many as a lot of some firms do them all year round. We do, but we tried it. We like it, but you've got better test situations, I suppose. Just release them all.
Yeah. I used to I used to just be 10 bugs. I used to release 10 bugs, leave them overnight, collect them all in, and it's just got scaled up and scaled up and scaled up until I'm now releasing 100 bugs, or I let with one of the rooms, I just let the infestation grow. So I have something very similar to a natural infestation, and sometimes I have to sleep in there to nourish it so that they keep growing and laying eggs and just doing all the things that bugs do. And then I can put monitors in there and test it in a very kind of real situation. I don't have much success in my rooms. Generally, I find that if I release bugs on the floor, they'll climb into the bed and they'll bite me, and then they'll hide in the bed. And so if I put traps on the floor and the bugs are already in the bed, they don't come down to the floor very much, and so the probability of catching one is pretty low. Unless the trap's there. If I release the bugs on the floor and the trap's already on the floor, I have a slightly better chance of catching them. But by the time they're in the bed, there's little activity on the floor. But it of course depends on what your bed is like. If you've got a divan base that's sitting on the floor and then not many places to hide in the bed, then the bugs will sometimes hide at ground level or behind the bed or behind the skirting or something like that.
Okay. It's so fun. I'll tell you one thing. I should have invited Alex Wade on to talk with you, because he loves bed books. And as you can remember from the Beauties and Beasties, it was mainly Alex talking, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sean was like, I can't believe you let bed bugs in your bed. But I get on with them guys really well. I do.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
But so it doesn't scare you releasing bed bugs into your bed, thinking, "Oh no, I'm going to get bit." You can.
No, it did. Did it at first? It did. I just overcame it. So I've been doing this pretty much every week since 2019 when I built the cabin. So it's normally been once a week. Sometimes it's been twice a week, and then for the last week it was every night, just because I had a project that I just had to get through. So it was relentless. But yeah, in the early stages, I'd subconsciously in my sleep, I'd just be like scratching and swatting things, and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd killed all my bugs, or like killed 9 out of 10 of them. Now I can go to sleep and just somehow that bit of my brain's just turned off, and you just overcome it. If you do the same thing enough times, you just overcome it. Yeah.
Fair enough. At least you admit, to start with, you were a bit scared. So
it was hard to it was hard to lie there with my eyes closed and feel a little tickle and wonder if it was a bug or not, and not want to scratch it because not want to kill the bug. And so you just it was a mental challenge early on. Fortunately, it's not so much anymore. Yeah.
It is sometimes, because you can be like, you can do a bed bug job and sometimes think after, even though you check yourself, psychologically, like, there's no itch there, there's nothing there. Just because I've been in there. Same with fleas, you can there's nothing there, but
whenever people ask me about my job, they often start scratching, to be honest.
They probably do. They're like, what do you do? So that's obviously when you test new products, that's what you do. You put them into your test rooms and you test. Is that how you do all your tests?
Yeah, I've done lots of different kinds of tests, so it sort of depends on the thing I'm testing. And sometimes if I'm testing something that's emitting CO2, then I don't need to be in the room, because it's it's a monitor that's mimicking a host, and so I don't need to be there.
Okay.
But for the thing I've been testing this week, this was a repellent. So I had to start off by sleeping in the bed and releasing bugs, and them all climbing into the bed, and then I could spray the repellent around and see if it reduced it, and it worked great actually. Yeah, it worked very well.
Good to hear. Good to hear. New product coming soon.
Yeah, that's an American company. Maybe it will. Yeah.
Who knows? So you do work for companies all over the world, then?
Yeah. So there's been a few American, quite a few Scandinavian. They're pretty global. And in the test rooms have been. I have to block time for the last few years. It's been pretty much back-to-back projects. A few weeks on this and a few weeks on that. It's been quite busy. Yeah.
It's good for business, I suppose.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So do you want to
business?
Well, yeah. As you keep saying, niche business, but but you're getting the business. You are.
Yeah.
So, do you want to tell people about explain what the Bedbug Foundation is? You're part of.
So it was set up by Oliver Madge, who formerly ran British Pest Control Association, and after he finished doing that, he set up Bedbug Foundation, and I joined him very shortly after he set it up. And initially, it was a new problem to the industry, and there was a lot of misinformation about what worked and what didn't work. And so the first thing we did is write some codes of practice, pulled in lots of information from lots of different people, and it was reviewed by lots of different people, and we just documented it didn't work. And it's evolved from there. It now does lots of so its main service really is identifying specimens and advising people on what they should do. So that's really 2 or 3 hours a day of my time. Recently it's been a lot. Over the winter it's less, but recently I've been spending 2 or 3 hours a day identifying specimens for people and telling people what they should do. They could be living in an apartment building and they've got bugs coming from their neighbours, and they've got a landlord that isn't interested. So what can they do to make their lives better? So sometimes there's some legal, expert witness type stuff involved in that. And then the other side of what the Bedbug Foundation does since 2017 is it provides certification for the bedbug scent detection dogs. So there's usually between about 75 and 90 bedbug detection dog teams, dotted across Western Europe. They go to one of a network of training schools. I think there's about a dozen or something like that, and they'll go and take an annual test. And if they pass the test, then they go on a directory site called BBFK9, where you can find a team near me. And so it was just a way of so when bedbug dogs first popped up in the industry, there was kind of it was totally unregulated. So pest controllers who were considering using the service didn't know whether they were any good. Basically, there was no way to know if they were providing a good service. There were lots of reports of missed infestations or false alerts, and so it just provided some. It allowed the pest control industry to have some, and the hospitality industry to have some confidence in the quality of the bedbug dogs, and I think that's been very successful. And so there's a lot of teams that are coming back for an annual test, and then they go on this directory site, and that brings in work for them then.
Well, it's good to hear, because you've got to have some kind of backing or authority, or you still some kind of backing that it's not. You're the real deal when you're doing bedbug detection. Yeah,
just someone independent saying that they've got confidence in what you do. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. That is. Is there anything else the Bedbug Foundation does?
That's the main things, really. The things that keep us busy is the certifications and the identifying specimens for people. Yeah.
So with I know it's run as a non-profit. But for identifications, do you charge for that, or is that totally free?
No, it's free. It is free. There's a donate button on the website, and recently we've been getting a few donations. I did it for years and never got anything. In fact, most people don't even say thanks. But actually, recently, people have been grateful for the service and have given donations as well. Yeah, which is nice. Yeah,
that's nice. That is. I would have thought you can't always say thanks, but I suppose the problem is a lot of people in this day and age, because you're over the internet and you're you're messaging on a phone, they forget there's a real human messaging you
Yeah,
back.
that's it. Yeah,
you're not a bot.
Yeah,
You forget. That's
yeah,
the problem.
yeah.
I suppose it's a 21st century, isn't it?
Yeah.
You sometimes forget when you're messaging people that's a real, because a lot of companies have bots, don't they? You talk to bots.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But you can always say thanks. Though it's a free service, so donate. It is.
Yeah.
So,
and then we have a lot of information as well, like self-help information, and just there's so much like misinformation about bed bugs on the internet, how long they can live, and all sorts of things, and what they look like, and so we just tried to provide a kind of provide some viable, useful information, about how to control them and about their biology and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Good to hear. That's good information out there. It's good to have it available. It is.
Yeah.
So with your commercial side of the business, you test products. Is there anything else you offer people?
Sorry, your sound cut out just then. Can you just ask the question again?
With your commercial side of the business,
yeah,
I know you test products, but is there anything else you do for services for people to do with bed bugs?
So that started off primarily as just breeding bugs and supplying them. So we were supplying universities and research labs. I built the website's called Cymex Store, and I built the site during my PhD because at that time bed bugs were making a comeback, and lots of people wanted bed bugs, and they were emailing research labs who had them in order to request them, and I was getting inundated with requests for bed bugs, and so I made Cymex Store so you could just buy bed bugs and check out. And we verify who you are, but basically it's just a web shop for bed bugs, and we had some different strains and things. And so it's the primary business was just breeding and supplying bed bugs to research labs and universities and detection dog teams, pest control companies. Yeah.
Do you have to be within the business? Could any random person buy a bed bug?
No, randoms do, and we have to vet them. Yeah. So with the dog people, we make sure that they're like affiliated with the dog training school and they have some legitimate requirement for them. If they've got any kind of business address, we normally don't question. If it's going to a pest control company business address, it's fine. But every year there'll be, I need 50 bugs to a flat in New York, and you'll be like, that doesn't sound right. So
that's somebody trying to plant something in someo's house or flat. Even bed bugs.
You never know what's going on, but we try not to be part of it. Yeah.
That's fair enough. That is. But thanks for your time, Richard. It's been great to learn. It has off you, and I hope everyone's learned something. So if there was one takeaway from tonight that you wish pest controllers would do more thorough when it comes to do with bed bugs, what would it be?
Well, they should be doing it anyway, but I would say don't treat for bed bugs if you can't find the bed bugs. Don't treat to be on the safe side. Don't treat because the person thinks that they have bed bugs. Like, find the bed bugs. It's not that hard, and then treat if you find the bed bugs.
And also read the label. It says that.
Oh yeah.
It does. It's on the label.
Yeah. It's a violation of cost regulations not to. You're supposed to rule out all the non-chemical options before you use chemical as a last resort, aren't you? And if you use chemicals as a last resort, then they'll work better and for longer. It's just overuse of pyrethroids is making them less effective. Yeah,
it is. But thank you, Richard, for coming on. I will put links to the Bedbug Foundation and the Cymex store as well in the description. When I put it up, it'll be up, but I will edit the description so people could check out the Bedbug Foundation and Cymex store. If you want to check any further information out, it's all through them websites, isn't it? How to contact
that's right. It's all there,
if people need to.
Yeah.
But thank you. Got a question for you. Is there anyone you would like to see on this podcast that you know? It could be bed bugs. It could be anything different. Anything.
Oh, I needed some time to think about that. I'll definitely get back in touch, but I need some time.
That's no problem.
Time to have a wonder. Yeah.
No, that's no problem. I do ask it every week, but people don't. A lot of people get back to me. They do.
Yeah.
But the beauties and beasts usually warn people about that one.
They did. Yeah, they did, and I came back with one, but I wasn't prepared this time. Yeah.
No, sorry about that. That's my fault. I forgot to tell you about that one. But yes, everyone, after you can register your CPD with British Pest Register for this one, and the BPCA CPD Diary self-register. You can register your CPD for this. It's been a great one, it has. With Dr. Richard Naylor. You are the first doctor that I've ever had on this podcast. You are. It's been fun. It has.
Yeah, it has. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Richard, and everyone. Thanks for participating in the chat with Adam Holt and Andrew Sinevsky, and he's a feature guest, Andrew is, and Adam Holt's already been on, so previous guest. But this is the most amount of conversation I've had in my chat. Thank you, everyone, for supporting the show, and I'll see you next week. All right, thanks, everyone. If you hold on a minute, I'll just end the stream. Okay,